"It is a lie, man. No daughter and no son have I, nor was ever child of mine left to starve in the wilderness. You are too big for me to tackle, and that makes you a coward for saying it." His hands were playing with a pickaxe helve, as if he longed to have me under it. "Perhaps I have wronged you, Simon," I answered very softly, for the sweat upon his forehead shone in the smoky torchlight. "If I have, I crave your pardon. But did you not bring up from Cornwall a little maid named Gwenny, and supposed to be your daughter?" "Ay, and she was my daughter, my last and only child of 5, and for her I would give this mine, and all the gold will ever come from it." "You shall have her, without either mine or gold, if you only prove to me that you did not abandon her." "Abandon her! I abandon Gwenny!" he cried with such a rage of scorn that I at once believed him. "They told me she was dead, and crushed, and buried in the drift here, and half my heart died with her. The Almighty blast their mining work, if the scoundrels lied to me." "The scoundrels must have lied to you," I answered, with a spirit fired by his heat of fury. "The maid is living, and with us. Come up, and you shall see her." "Rig the bucket!" he shouted out along the echoing gallery. And then he fell against the wall, and through the grimy sack I saw the heaving of his breast, as I have seen my opponent's chest in a long hard bout of wrestling. For my part, I could do no more than hold my tongue and look at him. Without another word we rose to the level of the moors and mires, neither would Master Carfax speak, as I led him across the barrows. In this he was welcome to his own way, for I do love silence, so little harm can come of it. And though Gwenny was no beauty, her father might be fond of her. So I put him in the cow house, not to frighten the little maid, and the folding shutters over him, such as we used at the beestings. And he listened to my voice outside, and held on, and preserved himself. For now he would have scooped the earth, as cattle do at yearning time, and as meekly and as patiently, to have his child restored to him. Not to make long tale of it, for this thing is beyond me, through want of true experience, I went and fetched his Gwenny forth from the back kitchen, where she was fighting, as usual, with our Betty. "Come along you, little Vic," I said, for so we called her. "I have a message to you, Gwenny, from the Lord in heaven." "Don't 'ee talk about He," she answered. "Her have long forgatten me." "That He has never done, you stupid. Come and see who is in the cow house." Gwenny knew. She knew in a moment. Looking into my eyes, she knew. And hanging back from me to sigh, she knew it even better. She had not much elegance of emotion, being flat and square all over; but none the less for that her heart came quick, and her words came slowly. "Oh, Jan, you are too good to cheat me. Is it joke you are putting upon me?" I answered her with a gaze alone, and she tucked up her clothes and followed me because the road was dirty. Then I opened the door just wide enough for the child to go to her father, and left those two to have it out, as might be most natural. And they took a long time about it. Meanwhile I needs must go and tell my Lorna all the matter, and her joy was almost as great as if she herself had found a father. And the wonder of the whole was this, that I got all the credit, of which not 1,000th part belonged by right and reason to me. Yet so it almost always is. If I work for good desert, and slave, and lie awake at night, and spend my unborn life in dreams, not a blink, nor wink, nor inkling of my labour ever tells. It would have been better to leave unburned, and to keep undevoured, the fuel and the food of life. But if I have laboured not, only acted by some impulse, whim, caprice, or anything, or even not acting at all, only letting things float by, piled upon me commendations, bravos, and applauses, almost work me up to tempt once again, though sick of it, the ill luck of deserving. Without intending any harm, and meaning only good indeed, I had now done serious wrong to Uncle Reuben's prospects. For Captain Carfax was full as angry at the trick played on him, as he was happy in discovering the falsehood and the fraud of it. Nor could I help agreeing with him, when he told me all of it, as with tears in his eyes he did, and ready to be my slave henceforth. I could not forbear from owning that it was a low and heartless trick, unworthy of men who had families, and the recoil whereof was well deserved, whatever it might end in. For when this poor man left his daughter, asleep as he supposed, and having his food and change of clothes, and Sunday hat to see to, he meant to return in an hour or so, and settle about her sustenance in some house of the neighbourhood. But this was the very thing of all things which the leaders of the enterprise, who had brought him up from Cornwall, for his noted skill in metals, were determined, whether by fair means or foul, to stop at the very outset. Secrecy being their main object, what chance could there be of it if the miners were allowed to keep their children in the neighbourhood? Hence, on the plea of feasting Simon, they kept him drunk for 3 days and 3 nights, assuring him, whenever he had gleams enough to ask for her, that his daughter was as well as could be, and enjoying herself with the children. Not wishing the maid to see him tipsy, he pressed the matter no further, but applied himself to the bottle again, and drank her health with pleasure. However, after 3 days of this, his constitution rose against it, and he became quite sober, with a certain lowness of heart moreover, and a sense of error. And his first desire to right himself, and easiest way to do it, was by exerting parental authority upon Gwenny. Possessed with this intention, for he was not a sweet-tempered man, and his head was aching sadly, he sought for Gwenny high and low, first with threats, and then with fears, and then with tears and wailing. And so he became to the other men a warning and a great annoyance. Therefore they combined to swear what seemed a very likely thing, and might be true for all they knew, to wit, that Gwenny had come to seek for her father down the shaft hole, and peering too eagerly into the dark, had toppled forward and gone down, and lain at the bottom as dead as a stone. And thou being so happy with drink, the villains finished up to him, and getting drunker every day, we thought it shame to trouble thee, and we buried the wench in the lower drift, and no use to think more of her, but come and have a glass, Sime. But Simon Carfax swore that drink had lost him his wife, and now had lost him the last of his 5 children, and would lose him his own soul, if further he went on with it. And from that day to his death he never touched strong drink again. Nor only this, but being soon appointed captain of the mine, he allowed no man on any pretext to bring cordials thither, and to this and his stern hard rule and stealthy secret management, as much as to good luck and place, might it be attributed that scarcely any but themselves had dreamed about this Exmoor mine. As for me, I had no ambition to become a miner, and the state to which gold seeking had brought poor Uncle Ben was not at all encouraging. My business was to till the ground, and tend the growth that came of it, and store the fruit in heaven's good time, rather than to scoop and burrow like a weasel or a rat for the yellow root of evil. Moreover, I was led from home, between the hay and corn harvests, when we often have a week to spare, by a call there was no resisting, unless I gave up all regard for wrestling and for my county. Now here many persons may take me amiss, and there always has been some confusion, which people who ought to have known better have wrought into subject of quarrelling. By birth it is true, and cannot be denied, that I am a man of Somerset. Nevertheless, by breed I am, as well as by education, a son of Devon also. And just as both of our 2 counties vowed that Glen Doone was none of theirs, but belonged to the other one, so now, each with hot claim and jangling, leading even to blows sometimes, asserted and would swear to it, as I became more famous, that John Ridd was of its own producing, bred of its own true blood, and basely stolen by the other. Now I have not judged it in any way needful, or even becoming and delicate, to enter into my wrestling adventures, or describe my progress. The whole thing is so different from Lorna and her gentle manners and her style of walking, Moreover, I must seem, even to kind people, to magnify myself